In the heart of the Dark Ages, a seasoned warrior known only as Father lives in the forest with his young daughter. As a bounty hunter, his life revolves around hunting the vicious beasts that plague the kingdom. When a creature is spotted, the kingdom sounds a trumpet, signaling bounty hunters to hunt it down. But despite his skill and determination, Father's world is shattered when one of these monsters takes his daughter's life. The beast responsible remains at large, and Father's grief turns into an unrelenting obsession. Consumed by vengeance, he vows to rid the land of every monster, no matter the cost. Now, alone in the woods with only his loyal horse, Zaki, Father spends his days setting traps, hunting, and relentlessly preparing for his next kill. He repairs his armor, always making it stronger, always ready. He even creates a powerful salve from the blood and organs of the very creatures he hunts, his own remedy for the wounds of battle. At times, Father leaves his home to sit by his daughter's grave, speaking to her in the quiet stillness of the forest. Before he departs, he places a metal arrow on her resting place, an ancient ritual said to guide spirits to the afterlife. Though Father doesn't believe in such legends, he continues the ritual, driven by a force he cannot escape: habit, loss, and a longing for the daughter he can never forget. One afternoon, Father tries to rest beneath the shade of a tree, the wind gently rustling through the leaves. But his peace is shattered when the window of his house rattles violently. Grabbing his tools, he heads inside to fix it, but then the trumpet blares from the royal castle, a loud, urgent call that echoes through the forest. A creature is on the move. Without hesitation, Father dons his armor, his mask, and mounts his loyal horse, Zaki, prepared to hunt once more. By morning, after a brutal battle, Father returns home, his body aching with exhaustion. He stumbles from his horse and rushes into the house, dropping the severed head of the monster onto the floor. His wounds are numerous, but he doesn't hesitate. He immediately applies his homemade salve, a quick remedy that soothes the pain and begins its work on his battered body. The next morning, Father wakes to find his wounds completely healed, the salve proving its power. Later, he picks up his weathered diary, its pages filled with sketches of the beasts he's slain. Among them is the white ape monster he defeated last night. Father places the ape's head on the wall, beside the others he's collected as trophies. Despite this, his work is far from done. He ties Zaki to a tree, gathers his traps, and begins preparing a simple meal. That night, as Father slept, a sudden creak from the windows jolted him awake. He turned to find a dark figure standing motionless in the shadows. Without a moment's hesitation, Father grabbed his axe and lunged at the creature. The struggle was fierce, but by dawn, the beast lay defeated. Father drove a wooden pole through its body, planting it in the ground as a grim warning to any creature that dared approach his land. Later, while drinking from a stream, Father's peace is shattered as a dragon soars overhead. The sight catches him off guard, and he rushes back to his house, only to hear the royal trumpet's unmistakable call. A roaming beast is near. Without wasting time, Father nails a fresh stake into his wall, already anticipating the trophy he would soon hang there. Hours later, he returns home, bloodied and exhausted. With his wounds still fresh, he lights his hearth and hangs the severed head of a werewolf on the wall. As he removes his helmet, the deep gashes from the creature's claws are visible across his face. Father presses the salve into the wounds, trying to dull the sharp sting. By morning, the pain has eased. His facial wounds are nearly healed. At one moment, Father begins carving wood, shaping a small horse, before walking solemnly to his daughter's grave. He wants to tell her about Zaki, his loyal horse who has passed, but words fail him. Just as he stands there, the trumpet blares again, calling him back to the hunt. Father sighs, the weight of exhaustion pressing down on him. He prepares another stake for his wall, but in his tired state, he strikes his hand with the hammer, a streak of blood marking the wood. Despite his weariness, Father set out again, his resolve unwavering. He walked for miles until he reached a massive tree, its trunk adorned with a flyer pinned by a royal archer. Father ripped the paper from the bark, his heart pounding as he unfolded it. The image of the monster sent a shock through him. It was the very beast that had taken his daughter's life. Fueled by rage, Father raced to her grave, his vow to avenge her death burning hotter with each step. His journey led him deeper into treacherous lands. After hours of walking, he paused on a hill, his gaze falling on a human skeleton half buried in the dirt. The grim sight reminded him of the dangers ahead. As his eyes scanned the horizon, a shadowy figure emerged in the distance, its monstrous form resembling a troll. The next morning, Father pressed on, reaching the edge of an island shrouded in mist and darkness. Without hesitation, he ventured into a cave, sensing that the creature was waiting for him. Inside, the air was thick with tension. The beast's terrifying howl reverberated through the walls as they clashed in a brutal fight. Exhausted, Father emerged from the cave, victorious, but his body was covered in blood and wounds. Seeking to wash away the remnants of battle, he entered a nearby river, the cold water stinging his bloodied back as he allowed himself a moment of respite. That night, Father camped on the same hill, the skeletal remains still lying nearby. After a brief rest, he continued his journey home, carrying the sack that contained the head of the monster that had killed his daughter. Upon his return, Father carelessly dropped the sack to the ground, his mind already focused on his next task. He walked to his daughter's grave, ready to tell her that it was finally over. At last, he had kept his promise. He had avenged her death. Meanwhile, inside the house, the wind rattled the window, and the force knocked over a jar of Father's homemade salve. The thick liquid spilled, slowly making its way toward the sack with the monster's head. This salve was known to heal wounds, but it held an unexpected power, one that could bring the dead back to life. Shortly after, the monster's body began to stir. Its spine slowly rose from the remains, a grotesque reminder of the power of the salve. When Father returned home, the sack was gone. A trail of salve led him toward it. With growing curiosity and frustration, he applied some of the salve to a dead spider, testing its effects. To his astonishment, the spider twitched and crawled to life before his eyes. Frustrated, Father slapped the spider, but it continued to move, relentless in its revival. As night fell, Father prepared for another hunt, his mind sharp and focused. But then, a noise outside his house caught his attention. Grabbing his torch, he stepped out into the darkness. His eyes fell on the sack that had once held the monster's head, now disturbingly empty. The door to his house was slightly ajar, a clear sign that something had entered. Without a second thought, Father quietly moved inside, scanning every corner for danger. Suddenly, a noise from the balcony snapped his attention. He rushed over, and there it was, the monster's skull, now resting before him. But before he could react, it sank swiftly into the river. Without hesitation, Father bolted outside, torch in hand, ready to pursue. The creature had emerged from the water, muttering the word body over and over, its voice strained with desperation. It needed a body to complete its resurrection. Father pressed on, tracking the monster through the night, the eerie muttering echoing in the darkness. Finally, he followed the sound to a chilling realization that the monster went to his daughter's grave. There, the monster was trying to use her skeleton as its new vessel. Father's heart raced as he found the grave empty. Fury ignited within him. He followed the monster's trail, his determination unwavering. The pursuit led him to a flooded tunnel. Realizing Father was closing in, the monster turned, its voice cold and mocking. "Father!" it called out. Enraged, Father charged, his hands gripping the creature's throat. He squeezed tightly, choking the life out of it. With one swift motion, he ripped his daughter's skeleton from the monster's skull, but the creature fought back. Its tailbone wrapped around Father, pulling him into a deadly struggle. But Father was quick. His knife flashed in the dim light, stabbing the monster's head again and again. Finally, the creature stilled, its resistance fading as it lay lifeless at his feet. Shortly after, Father returned home, the monster's head in hand. With a firm grip on his axe, he crushed it beneath the weight of his fury, ensuring the creature was truly dead. Then, with grim resolve, Father carried his daughter's skeleton back to the grave. The earth felt heavier than ever as he buried her. This moment, this unbearable task, was the hardest a father could face, burying his own child. Each handful of dirt he tossed brought memories of her laughter, her warmth, and the moments they had shared, now lost forever. Father paused, his eyes falling on the arrow he had placed on his daughter's grave days earlier. It was a symbol of his ritual, but now it sparked something deeper within him. Determined, he cut a piece of wood and fashioned a new arrow. With steady hands, he pulled it and released, the shaft sinking into the decaying creature. finally bringing it down. Soon after, Father returned home, his eyes lingering on the window that still hadn't been repaired. Through the broken pane, we watch as Father walks across the room, when suddenly a slashing sound cuts through the air from outside. Father hesitated, his senses alert, before entering the house. He hung another head on the wall, expecting to complete the grim trophy collection. But when he turned to face it, his blood ran cold. The head he had just placed was his own. The slashing sound had been the monster, attacking and decapitating Father in the shadows. It had used his body to complete its twisted transformation. The creature, now fully resurrected, left with Father's salve in hand, disappearing into the darkness. And with that, the story comes to an end. So the moral of the story is, if you're a grieving dad hunting monsters, maybe don't keep a magical healing salve lying around. Things get messy, especially when the monster wants to borrow your body. And always, always fix that window, because apparently monsters love making dramatic entrances through broken glass.